Hey everybody, it's Andre Shirdan, and my guest today is Dr. Erin Elliott of Post Falls Family Dental. And Erin is a national speaker, educator, and she focuses on sleep medicine. And I got to meet her through my connections with the CAD/CAM world and with T-Bone. And we've been virtual friends for a really long time, but this is really like the first time I've got a chance to talk to her sort of virtually face to face. So I invited her to be part of this series. And Erin, hey, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here. Idaho's freezing cold, so nothing better I'd rather do than be here with you.
And we're finally getting over the curve. I'm in Pennsylvania, finally getting over the curve of cold. And I think we're going to have a 70-degree day today. And I'm really excited. So, well, thanks for doing this. And you got my questions. So you're not going to be a deer in the headlights with this. So this will be a lot of fun because we'll get a chance to kind of meet each other and talk about this stuff. And I always like to hear people's answers to these questions. So how's that sound?
That sounds wonderful. I hope I hope I pass the test.
Oh yeah, well, okay, all right. Well, this is like a pass fail, so no,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll pass. All right,
Yep.
all right. So here's question number one. Compare yourself to who you are today by using a fork in the road metaphor, and tell us about the fork that you may have taken. I know we've taken lots of them in our careers, but give me a story.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people's answer would be when I chose to be a dentist or, chose dentistry as a career. But really, mine was when I was choosing college, and it changed the entire course of my life. So I was a SoCal girl, grew up in Orange County, totally in love with soccer and really into school and academics, had to be straight A's, top of my class at all times. And so in Southern California, I think because the competition so much, I never thought that I was good enough to play soccer in college. And fortunately, I had parents and a coach that believed in me. And I was born and raised a UCLA fan, and I got on the team at UCLA. But my parents are the ones that kept saying, you should look into playing soccer, look into playing soccer. And so there was this random school in the middle of nowhere in Buffalo, New York, that kept recruiting me. They sent me VHS tapes of their highlight reels. And it was a 1,200 student private Christian liberal arts school, literally in the middle of nowhere. So we went in January for a SoCal girl to Buffalo, New York, and drove an hour into the rural, area. And there was this little college in the middle of nowhere. So anyways, I chose to go there instead of UCLA. And that's where I met my husband. I got to play soccer and had an academic scholarship. Realized I was actually going to be a wife and a mom too. Because for me, everything was like, yeah, I'm going to achieve all these things. Never really stopped to think about my future of home life, I guess. So anyways, I think I'd probably be in California, an old spinster that works 7 days a week. If I didn't choose
And that's
that
the
route.
norm. In the OC, that's the norm, You could have, Huntington Beach or,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, hey, it's so funny that those paths that we take, and it's a funny thing, my son went to a very small Christian school, went to, and was recruited by a bunch of schools to play soccer. That's so funny. It's small world.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. We didn't make it to Buffalo though, but we
Where
went
did he
to,
go?
well, he did actually decided after, again, fork in the road, he went up to do a header on a ball and came down on the back of his head. And soccer was sort of out of the question after that. So
Well,
he took a completely different path.
I'm 44 now and I still play. I don't know if I truly belong on the field still, but I still have a passion for it. So
It's a good pick.
yeah, but it was what led me to where I'm at today. So I'm glad it did. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good game for the parent in the stands who has to sit out in the rain and everything else.
I know. I'm like,
It's a
why would
tough
you choose
game.
an outdoor sport in
It's
Idaho?
it's a tough game. Yeah. Well, I love that. And it's so funny because everybody that I've talked to during this series, if not for these forks, I would never probably got a chance to do it. Or I would have been on the sideline watching you. And it would be great if today you would be playing in the same games as my son in theory, but that's the kind of amazing forks in the road that we've talked about in this series. So let's talk about question number two. So I think question number two also kind of impacts what happens on question number one, which is there a book that you've read that everyone else should be reading or maybe reading over and over again?
So it's funny that you say that because I was trying so hard to think of something. I am an avid reader, avid. I can go through a book a week, but I only read novels. I hate business books and I hate self-help books. I just don't find them interesting. So I will tell you the one business book that I actually finished was Start With Why. And I do reference it in my lecture because I think, having a passion for what we're doing and building your culture of even your office or your life around that passion really sets you apart from other dentists, other people. So I think Start With Why, especially in sleep medicine. It's not the easiest thing to implement. It's not like just adding implants to your practice because it's a different, world, and you're going to come across some obstacles. But if it's those patients that come back and say that you saved my life, that I'm like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. So I think that's just an important part for humans. It's most business books are common sense though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And, as I spent most of my life as a consultant, and in the end, I was talking to my kids about kind of what I did, and they were kind of trying to define it, especially when they were talking to their friends. And I always would say, really what my job is to help somebody understand their why.
Yeah.
I mean, really, there's an old adage that a consultant is really somebody who borrows your watch and tells you what time it is.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's funny. You actually shared one of my posts. This is a story about he was a freshman in high school and he'd come home with C's and D's and be okay with that. And I said, Jensen, the problem that I have with you and your grades is your apathy. And he kind of looks at me. I was like, do you know what that means? And he goes, no, and I don't care. Yeah. And you shared it. So I was like, okay, he gets it.
That's it. I do. So here's my other question for you is, what are the novels that you love? Who are the authors that you love?
So like Harlan Coben, if you've ever heard of him.
Oh, yes.
Lee Child, historical fiction, Outlander series. I learned so much through historical fiction. I like scan when I read, like I'm a speed reader. Yeah. And so I can't do audio because I like read so fast. So anyways, I just love, I guess that's like my getaway. I don't drink alcohol anymore. And there's only so much TV you can watch. So it's kind of like, that's how I shut my brain off.
Yeah, and see, I'm dyslexic, so reading for me is hard. But I go through about used to go through about a book a week because I was in my car so much. And I love, my favorites are Doug Preston, A Lincoln Child.
Okay.
Really right. Good. We'll have to share some books.
So and I have to tell you, Ken Follett, like freaking love. So. Yeah.
I like series books, novels, because when I'm done with the first, I got to get to the next one. So I'll have to give you those on Doug Preston. You'll love those. So that's good. Okay, so here's question number 3. Give me one or two of your favorite quotes.
Well, the you said it, make sure you give attributes to who made it, but my marketing company, that I was in a business group with them, and they're just a local company, and they help me with graphic design and website and just kind of everything I do. And they made a bracelet for me because my motto in life is figure it out, stupid. So they turned it into a, I don't know, is it backwards? So Theo.
I
So
love
they
it.
said that like if someone asked a question or whatever, they all just yell Theos and or figure it out, son, or silly, if someone's sensitive. But my kids have learned to be very resourceful and they know they get bonus points for being so. So Theos is kind of one of my sayings. But to be cheesy, and I feel like we embody this at my practice. One of my favorite quotes, and my dad taught it to me, who was also a dentist, and we kind of shared the same brain. But he said, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And connecting with patients, I think, is my favorite part of what we get to do. And I know it's humans and people, and sometimes they're mean, but that's the best part of our job.
Yeah, I agree. And there was a show years ago with Ted Danson called Becker, and he was a physician, and he had a nurse and a receptionist, and Becker was away at a conference and the practice was closed. So the two of the nurse and the receptionist were sitting around, and they said to each other, this is the best time for practice, when there's no doctor and there's no patients. And it was such a great joke, because in our field, without our patients, come on. I mean, I have a sign in my office that says, when your chair is empty, you are unemployed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So I love that. Tell your dad. Yeah, that's a fantastic one. So, all right. So here's question number 4, which is, what's the high tech thing you can't live without?
So as you know, I teach with 3D dentists. I'm under the umbrella with T-Bone, and everyone that teaches there is so techie, and I'm like the 70-year-old lady. So again, I mentioned I'm 44, so I'm in that age gap where I learned with computers and technology, but I just used them. I never found out how. So I don't love technology. I'm like, oh, another username and password. I don't want an app. I just want to, I don't want to create a whatever. I'm just over it. So I had an iPhone 10. The screen was broke, or the screen protector was broken. So everyone thought, my screen was shattered. My case was peeling. And my husband's like, you are due for an upgrade. Like, go get your new phone. I'm like, why? I know how to use this. Everything is like where it needs to be. I said, this one works just fine. I'm like, it's a good thing I'm like this, because I would have traded you in a long time ago otherwise. So anyways, I went to Greater New York and had spent the week before with my family, and I realized how much better the camera is on the iPhone 13. So I come home from Greater New York and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the upgrade. And he goes, here you go. He already had it ready for me. And I was just so ticked that I had to start over. But my high-tech gadget is that and I'm not ashamed of it, I can't live without my phone. I like connecting with people, and I feel like I'm not one that looks at the evils of social media. I don't think I'm addicted, but anyways, I think I start to tremble if I get too far away from my phone.
I agree. And mine beeps if I get too far away from it.
But I don't have an iWatch or anything like that. I don't have that much technology.
I live for it, and I don't apologize for it. So, well, that's good. So, okay. So now let's turn off the switch and let's say, what's the low tech thing? Can't have a battery, can't have a plug, that you can't live without.
Oh, so you didn't define that. So I was going to say, with my cars, I want them to be as low tech as possible.
That's okay.
I was a dentist for 10 years and 36 years old when I got my first new car. When we first came here in 2003, I got up to a stop sign, and I had this awesome little Honda Civic stick shift. Oh, it was my first automatic when I was like 28. It pulled up to a red light and my patient was there. So I leaned over to roll down the window to say hi. And he's like, why the hell is my dentist driving that car? He's like, get a safer car. So I do have an Audi now, but I don't use the backup camera. I turn off all of the beeps. When I parallel park, I get out of the car like waiting for a standing ovation at how well I just parked without any technology. So
I love that. So I'll allow that as a low tech.
okay.
If you don't use all the tech parts of it, I will allow it. So, and it's so funny because with car, I mean, I'm a car nut, but with cars, you know what? I realized I had a an old convertible, and again had no technology in it. Had to literally put the top down by hand, which sounds so weird now, but it was so good to just go out and drive, and there was nothing else other than you in the car, and there was no beeps and bops and all that kind of stuff. I get it. And
Yeah.
and
My first car was a little red Cabriolet Rabbit
oh, there you go.
in Southern California. It was a pretty good little car. Stick shift.
Yeah.
So
and
when I valet
nice as the
parked,
technology is.
yeah, I valet parked in dental school, and I was the only one that knew how to drive shift stick. So I totally got to drive all of the really nice cars.
That's it. That's kryptonite for young people. They don't know how to drive sticks. That's
why my son, he has a stick shift.
Awesome. That's a good thing. They have to learn how to drive a stick and learn how to change a tire. I think all kids should. So, all right. So now let's circle back to the beginning of our conversation, which is, if you could go back to a fork in the road and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
Well, and I think this might be every little teenage girl, but as confident as I may have seemed, now that I'm older, it's better, but I wasn't that confident. I didn't think I was good enough to play in college. I didn't think it's like these insecurities. I would just tell myself to get over it. Just be you, don't be ashamed. I had big ears that stuck out, and I'd have to wear, play soccer, and my ear was sticking out. And so the first thing I did when I could afford it was get an ear job. I was like, just be you. And be awesome. Okay with it. So
that's good advice.
Yeah.
So here's a question I didn't prepare you for, but it's an easy one. All right. Which is, Erin is who she is today because of hard work or luck?
Oh, definitely hard work. There's never a time that I hate to say it. So I think it might have even been Simon Sinek that said this, but working for something you don't love is work, but working for something you love is passion. Yeah. And so if you're not finding the passion, if you're dreading going to work, then change it. Do something different. Figure it out.
I'm with you 300%.
So I work hard, but I also kind of enjoy it. So.
Yeah. And that's the one thing about, you're a road warrior like I am. And, a lot of this is, it's when we get there, it's all worth it. And, interacting with the people in the audience, interacting with the students that we work with, is reward enough. And it's not work at all. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks so much for doing this. This is a lot of fun. It's finally good to get to meet you in person like this. And we'll have to catch up on the road sometime.
For sure. I hope we cross paths soon. So thanks for asking me to do this. It was fun.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Talk to you soon.